Month period last year, there were 176 referrals to your department for abuse and child neglect. Is that figure pretty much the same as it has been, or is it going up or down?
Well, actually, the figure's been decreasing the past couple years in terms of the referrals that we actually investigate. One reason for that has been that we have fewer staff involved now. We've been screening out more complaints rather than accepting them for investigation. In terms of whether abuse or neglect is increasing or not, I don't think that you can base all that on the referral figures. We've been finding that we've had more substantiated abuse situations during the past year in the county, almost 40% more than we've had during the previous 2 years.
The number of that 176 that were substantiated?
Well, 176 were reported, or referrals. We then followed up and investigated, and out of that number, 25 or 30% were substantiated.
What are some of the problems as to substantiating them?
Sometimes it becomes sort of a judgment issue whether you believe the story the parent is telling you. Sometimes it's a matter of weighing whether there's actual harm coming to the child based on the parental value system, the care they're providing for the child. There's sometimes some real gray areas that aren't well defined that come down to the worker making a decision, you know, based on their information, based on maybe some consultation, as to whether some harm is actually coming to the child in whatever the situation is that's alleged.
Now, you handle cases of both child abuse and neglect. How are they different and similar?
Well, child abuse would be a situation as defined by law where an act is committed towards the child. Neglect would be a situation where there's been some omission on the part of the parent or someone responsible for the child in providing such as food, clothing, or shelter. So I guess that's the commission versus omission is the similarity and the difference.
What are some of the things that you're doing to try to stop this child abuse and neglect?
Well, community education. The STEP class is one thing that our agency's been involved with trying to educate parents with appropriate ways of dealing with kids and their problems. Been finding that there's sort of a generational problem that people tend to raise their kids the same way they were raised themselves. If they were abused as children, then they're more apt probably to abuse their own kids. If they were neglected, didn't have a lot of their physical needs or emotional needs met, they in turn, you know, raise their own children that way quite often.
So you see that as very often a continuing cycle?
Yes, unfortunately.
If someone was abused as a child, frequently they abuse their children.
There's not a cause and effect, but there's a real high correlation. People tend to parent the way they were parented.
The STEP program is something you're not involved with, but that is one of the ways that you're trying to educate parents?
One of the staff members that we have helped develop that resource through our agency, and what it is a training program about 8 sessions long for parents in terms of ways of dealing more effectively with their kids. It stands for Systematic Training for Effective Parenting, to learn to react to the children's behavior rather than to reacting to the children, to learn ways of helping set some limits without resorting to some of the abusive behavior patterns that people have used in the past.
So education is an important part of it then?
Yeah, really feel so.
I've been speaking with Mike Greer, Child Welfare Supervisor for the Isabella County Department of Social Services. For Live at 5, I'm Brian Stout.